Hello, hello, and welcome to the Rock Metal Podcast. I'm your host, John Harris. Today, on my right-hand side is my right-hand man, Gabriel.
We have to sever the tie about the
Maya. Yeah. We'll
definitely... little metal fan right there.
Yeah, we'll chat about severing that tie, though. So today on Rock Metal Podcast, we have VAJRA. They have a new EP called Urkala, which is released on January 15th via Thunder Cult Records. Right now I'm being joined by Annamaria and Dave to share some more information about this stellar release and what the band has got going on. So guys, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much for having us.
Thank you.
Absolutely great to have you guys on. Now, killer stuff. I really dig it. And I guess just take us through this release because it's unique. I don't see bands doing what you guys are doing, mostly with I guess what we'll call subject matter. So take us through what you guys are doing.
Sure. Well, it's been a while since we actually came forth with another record. We were touring a lot, and I had some health issues. We had band lineup stuff. We were sorting. Just a lot of craziness. So finally, we just put everything on hold, and we said we're just going to do this now, and we're going to move it forward. And what this is it's the first album in a trilogy of albums exploring consciousness. And a lot of this stuff comes to me in meditation. I guess it's kind of like, the way I think of it is like the ideas in every bag.
Oh, David Lynch.
Lynch. His ideas come to him in transcendental meditation when he writes his screenplays and stuff. And I was really inspired by that. So I started to trust my instincts whenever I would hear, things that would come to me when I was in that space. So when I'm in that space, what I've been delving into is consciousness. So this lowest level of consciousness is what we're exploring in Urkala. It's the base level consciousness. It's the material aspects of life, of consciousness. It's superficiality. It's ego-based. It's lie, cheat, steal. So all of that is kind of influenced in the music, but also in the lyrics. And I had a bad breakup, so it's kind of couched a lot in that, and just thinking about who I am, why I am, what I'm thinking, my relationship to others relationship, their relationship to me, and what's real, what's not real. So, Maya is that sense of illusion, the illusion of the world, the illusion of who you are. Who is the I beyond the I, basically? Who is the observer that observes? And so, so that's how it all kind of started to fold in with each other. But
also, tying in the Sumarian. Stuff.
So also with this came, I was thinking a lot about where we are in our culture and why we believe what we believe. Mainly, with the roles of male and female and the archetypes and masculine energy versus feminine energy, and why we have a religion or Western religions that are monotheistic and male-oriented. And I started to trace back religions, Western religions, and I started with, Catholicism. My dad was a monk before he met my mom, so it's just like this way I was, I was raised in that. And although I'm not a practicing Catholic, and kind of just trace it back, it looked at Islam a little bit, and all the way back to Sumerian culture. And I started getting obsessed with the Sumerian culture, and it was considered the first civilization. So it's the first civilization because, it had the first writings and all. And the first writing, well, for many reasons, but one of the reasons was writings. And I started to look at the writing, which was cuneiform. And I also saw that there was this goddess who was really important named Inanna. and her role in society. I was looking at all of that. So the videos, the videos and the art come from that study. So on our T-shirts, the Shadow Queen is a picture of the Bernie relief, and I taught myself a little bit of cuneiform. And in the cuneiform, it's on the cover, the title Irkala, which is the Sumerian word for the underworld. I wrote cuneiform, and then I reached out to the leading the leading cuneiform study scholar in the world, Dr. Irving Finkel, who's at the British Museum. And I was like, can you just correct my spelling for me, because I just want to make sure that, this is going on the album. I want to make sure it's accurate. And I had one letter off, but he corrected it. And the dude is like super awesome. He's like a rock star. This is the Shadow Queen
what we're
t-shirt.
Talking about, the Shadow Queen
Bernie relief
with the Irkala. If you could see it, I don't know if you could see it, but anyway. So all of that is tied in to the videos which we do, and that story of the classic descent of Inanna is a classic hero myth from the Sumerian culture, and it's called The Descent of Inanna. So we've updated that and wrote the story for the videos. All the videos will have a component of, all the pieces of music will have a video component, and they all fit together into this short film based on the descent of Inanna. But it'll be a modern day approach to that, obviously.
Right.
In the Maya video, we're walking around Chinatown and Brooklyn and Manhattan and Times Square, and all this stuff.
Right.
Obviously, it's updated for
people to understand. Otherwise, it's a period piece, and we're not writing a period piece.
Yeah. Even though I've been watching a lot of period pieces on Netflix.
Well, that's another story. But yeah. So all of this stuff is intertwined, right? The sense of Irkala, the sense of where we are as a culture in this deep, dark space. Why are we here? How are we going to get out of it? And when you go through your own personal struggle to identify who you are, self-actualization, each individual will go through that struggle, and presumably when each individual goes through that struggle, the entire social consciousness gets raised. And so that's kind of like the general background.
The all-encompassing.
Although I've been talking for like 5 minutes or so I don't know if I just could totally confuse you or whatever. So ask me anything. Maybe we can pinpoint more specifics, because I don't know if I was being really articulate in my answer.
No, I think that you were quite clear there, and I've got a few things brought up on Wikipedia. Sumer, for example, on Wikipedia, so I can take a look at some ziggurats and whatnot.
Right.
And then one of the things I wanted to touch on was what is the writing, the artwork, but you touched on that. It's the
cuneiform. It's the Sumerian language, right? So it's the cuneiform, Sumerian Akkadian language, and it's called, basically it means Irkala. It means the underworld.
That symbol, or that
those
word.
Words, those letters.
Which was corrected by Dr. Finkel from the British Museum,
who's also a bassist and a really cool dude. His videos are all through YouTube. You can check it out.
And he's the premier.
The dude is like a rock star. He's so cool.
Yeah, I've got his Wikipedia brought up, and apparently he is known for discovering the tablet that has the Great Flood narrative on it.
Yes. So now you can start to weave in how that predated Christianity, it predated Judaism, all of it. Because this is now, 2500 BC, I think, approximately.
Mm-hmm.
But when did the flood happen? We don't know. The flood could have happened in a prior culture, could have been 9000 BC. We don't know.
Exactamente, baby. Okay. Yeah, I took lots of notes. I'm trying to figure out where I should ask a question, however, though. Annamaria, geez Louise.
My dad is a history professor, so like it's just in my blood, you know?
Mm-hmm.
It's just, but why can't we weave some of this into the art? And why can't we resurrect the ancient teachings? Why not? Some of those things, I believe, are extremely informative and can help us in this day and age. And that's really something that I feel very strongly about.
And I also think that this kind of this kind of imagery can only be portrayed in its most successful form with some crazy progressive metal, weaving, and also some ghostly interlude type music. So hopefully we got both on that.
Naturally. Well, I mean, I guess one of the things that I'm trying to look for the thread that kind of binds the whole thing together, and a few things that I noted was you mentioned that there was a breakup. So I'm kind of looking for the crux point. Where was the point at which you said, and I mean, granted, I think a lot of people are always trying to figure out this world, but it seems like there may have been something that sent you down into that rabbit hole that has produced this work. And I'm curious, is that perhaps the breakup where there was a relationship that you thought was more solid than it actually was, which then may have led you to believe that your ego was more involved in that relationship?
Well, true. Yeah, that's one of the elements for sure. I had a breakup with someone that I thought I was going to spend the rest of my life with. So you start to question I started to question who I am, why I thought I could be with this person if it's not working out. Was that just my ego wanting that, or was that was it a real space? My roommate was diagnosed with stage 3 cancer and had to shift out. So you start questioning life and death. We were in Sweden, and my cat of 15 years was like my baby, passed away while I was not even there. So in life, death, there was a lot hitting me all at once. I was having some financial stuff that I was going through as well. So it was just like I was bombarded. And then I was diagnosed with a tumor. And so which was non-cancerous, but a large tumor that was causing some issues. So I was just like, what is going on with everything? And again, who am I? Who am I really? What do I want? And it's just like that reevaluation started to happen. But I've always been interested in these sort of things, and I've always been interested in consciousness. And I believe that as artists, we have a duty because we're not afraid to go on the fringes of society and societal culture, but we're also not afraid to go into the space where you hear something or see something and you can translate it and bring it down into the material realm. We're translators. We're shamans if we're doing it properly. And you have to go into that space. Any musician knows when you go into that space, you're in another world.
And any music fan knows when you're listening to something that you really enjoy, it puts you into that world also. Mm-hmm. You know, no matter what it is.
Yeah, so it's all connected. It's all connected.
Okay. Silly question. Why the color red in all of the music videos?
No, it's not a silly question at all. It's deliberate. The 3 albums are based on the 3 levels of consciousness, and everything is based on 3. So we are using the 3 primary colors: red, yellow, and then blue.
So this first one is all about the red, and black being the base color, and then the red on top of it.
Yeah, we release on auspicious days that are derivatives of 3. On the album, we have 3 songs, 3 moody, dark ambient pieces, and then on the physical copies, we have the Shadow Queen EP, which is set in 3 movements. So everything is 3s and 3s.
Mm-hmm. Beautiful. Now, for something a little more mundane for a quick second.
Yeah.
I'm terribly curious between speaking of the ego, 2020, there's a lot of ego in 2020.
Yes.
A lot of ego. And how did you guys put this whole thing together throughout that year? And I guess through just all the craziness that you had previously mentioned beforehand.
Yeah, so we started actually like really recording 2018. We'd had ideas from before that we put together, from before that, but really went into the studio 2018, and then I was back and forth to see Sahaj as our producer, Sahaj Tikadeen. He's from a band called Ra, and I was back and forth to LA. We were doing all that stuff. So by 2020, we had everything mastered, I think, in early 2020 to mid 2020. So it was really just the final stages of that. The artwork was done. That was done 2020.
Yeah, so early. We went out to California in January.
Yeah, we went to NAMM, and then we met with Taz Lemur, who's from a band called Calm, and then he's done work with Tool and Volto and all those guys. He's a super creative, amazing dude. He's one of our best friends. He's family. And so we went there to shoot the artwork. The artwork is part of a triptych. So each a triptych that each album will have a piece of it. So only at the end of the release of the third album will you see the whole picture. So that was done in 2020. And then
one thing that we did all of 2020 was the video.
Oh, the video stuff. So that was like our whole, like half of the year, maybe even more, was writing the story for the videos. We shoot everything ourselves. We do locations all ourselves, makeup, everything. He does all the editing. He does all the colorizing. He bought the camera, learned how to use the camera.
Yeah, and the software.
Learned a new ecosystem, right. Everything, all this year.
Any of the techie guys, I completely dropped the Adobe ecosystem and I went into the Blackmagic DaVinci ecosystem, and then I got out of all the Adobe creative programs, and now I use the Affinity program. So I learned all that stuff
on the fly as we're doing Maya to begin with.
But I got to say, anyone editing video, I was a Premiere guy for a long time, and I went into DaVinci Resolve. I'll never turn back. Never turn back.
Okay.
With the Maya video. Oh, yep.
Yeah. No. Take us through that for a quick second, if you don't mind. What was it? No. What was it about Premiere? Because the funny thing is, years ago, at this point, like 20 years ago, I learned video editing in real life, like on actual things, tape. And then we migrated over to kind of like the Final Cut Adobe Premiere situation. And then Sony Vegas showed up for a little bit. And then, there's so many that have come along since then. And I know Premiere's been around for ages. What was it about Adobe? And I have my own gripes with Adobe.
I can tell you exactly what it is.
what was it about Adobe? You're like, I got to find something else. And what was it about Blackmagic?
When I first started with Premiere, obviously, you can buy an Adobe program and use it, without having to keep paying for it. Adobe's subscription model really put me off. Also, Premiere, though I started on Premiere, I was always a Windows guy, never a Mac guy. So I don't know any of the Final Cut, any of that stuff. So with Premiere, it was great at first. I did all the videos from my old bands, in Premiere. I've done a couple of VAJRA videos with Premiere. But as Premiere kept growing, as we got into later versions of it, I've got a really good computer. And it got to the point where I couldn't even move my mouse because it was freezing. There's some weird crap with whatever the bloating of that program. And then I bought the Blackmagic camera. It came with DaVinci Resolve. I installed it. I looked at it and said, I have no idea how to work this. But then I learned it, YouTube videos, whatever.
He loved it.
Loved it. It's so easy on my system, compared to Premiere. It just runs flawlessly. And I got a 5-year-old computer, it's not a brand new thing. And, but it kills Premiere in just the responsiveness. So, there's obviously little things you got to learn, little nuances about, how much effects you can use and all that stuff. But, I just feel like when you get into the node editing with the effects and all that stuff, there's just, it's way better. I don't know. Anyone who does film editing could probably understand that, because it's a different way to use effects and to use layering and all that stuff. But it just, I don't know. It just feels like a more solid program to use. That's all I could say,
Okay.
And then going back to the Maya video, I started learning it using the Maya video as my classroom, basically. And when we started filming that, it was right in the middle of the coronavirus thing. And we were going outside, and it was a ghost town in New York City. We would walk around and film places where you would have 1,000 tourists per block, and it was desolate. Yeah. And we were just like, this is crazy to capture this on video, windows boarded up, all of that is just insane. So anyway.
Yeah.
Cool. Then my other question is, it sounds like quite a bit of traveling went into this to work with very specific people literally across the country.
Yeah.
And the funny thing is, like, I'll chat with European bands, like that same distance is like going from one whole culture to another whole culture. Quite literally. So Raw, killer band, obviously, and I'm looking at Sahaj's page, and it turns out I've chatted actually with quite a few of the bands that he's worked with. But they're situated in LA. They're not like 4,000 miles away. Like,
yeah.
Why Sahaj?
Sahaj became recommended from a friend and a guy we were working with, and his experience. There were like a few people that kept coming to me saying, "You need to work with Sahaj. You need to work with Sahaj." And I'm like, "Why? Like, who's this Sahaj guy from Rock?" And they're like,
"Who is this guy?"
Like what? Like, and it's just because of his experience, his life experience. He also lived in India for some time. He had he's also into this like sense of consciousness, even though he doesn't necessarily talk about it the way I talk about it. He had some similar life experiences that we connect on. So we both talk about, India. I call him Sahaj Ji. Ji is a term of endearment, term of respect. And we just, he just knows what I kind of like, where I am and where I'm coming from. He knows about also the Indian rhythms and all of that sort of thing. I'm not Indian, but I lived in India for 5 years. So it's a big part of who I am. It's a part of, the experiences that I had there, and the music kind of defined how I perceive the creative process, and it just defined basically my existence. I had gone there to reevaluate who I was, and again to go deeper into my sense of self, but my sense of the self behind the self. Mm-hmm. So
many selves within selves.
Well, there are, because who is the I? Who is Annamaria Pinna? Who, I am a woman. I grew up in upstate New York. I've lived in India, like all of that stuff. But who am I behind all of those things? Every person doesn't have to, but every person can start to uncover those deeper aspects of self. And I'm interested in doing that. So Sahaj gets that. Sahaj gets the Indian culture influence. Sahaj gets the Indian music influence as well. So that's why he was the perfect person to work with. And he's super creative and just awesome.
Mm-hmm. He's also a producer. Like, he'll be able to say, you can't use the word umbilical in a chorus.
Well, right. So, yeah. So he brings me in.
Okay. Groovy. All right. Well, gang, I believe we got to wrap it up. We could go for the next 4 days, and I'm sure that we would be okay with that. But
we would be sleeping.
Yeah.
Oh no, I'm putting you to sleep.
Oh no. Okay, cool. So, good chat, gang. We chatted about the album, what's coming, or the EP coming up. A couple more EPs. Got to have 3. Everything got to come in 3s. We chatted about selves within selves within selves. You know, how many elephants are holding up the world? An infinite number of elephants.
Yeah,
What's beneath those elephants?
100
More elephants.
Probably 100 billion.
So great. Love elephants.
Until they're extinct. Then.
No.
I know. Cool. So we chatted about 2020. I think we pretty much covered everything that we can possibly cover within a span of 20, 25 minutes. So unless there's anything else that I missed that you guys deeply wanted to cover, I just wanted to thank you for coming on to the Rock Metal Podcast today.
Oh, thanks for having us.
Yeah. I don't know.
I hope it wasn't too boring. I hope I didn't make put you to sleep.
Terrific. All right. Well, thanks, guys.
Awesome.